The evening air in San Diego carried the salty smell of the ocean as Mark Reynolds locked his old pickup outside a small neighborhood grocery store. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, skipped beside him, her small hand wrapped tightly around his. For Mark, life had become simple over the past few years: work during the day, dinner at home, bedtime stories at night. He liked it that way. The past was something he rarely spoke about. Inside the store, Lily chatted excitedly about her school project while Mark pushed the cart through the narrow aisles. To anyone watching, he looked like an ordinary single father, broad-shouldered, calm, a little tired. No one would guess he once led dangerous missions across oceans as a Navy SEAL. That life ended the day Lily was born. From then on, protecting her became his only mission. When they stepped back outside, the sky had darkened. The parking lot lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the cracked pavement. Lily suddenly stopped walking. Her grip tightened. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice shaking, "please help her." Mark followed her gaze. Near the far end of the lot, a woman stood backed against a car. 5 men surrounded her, their voices loud and aggressive. They weren't shouting yet, but their body language was wrong, too close, too threatening. The woman's hands trembled as she tried to explain something, her eyes darting around, searching for help that didn't seem to be coming. Mark's heart rate changed instantly. He lowered himself slightly so he was eye level with Lily. "Sweetheart, stay right here by the truck. Don't move unless I tell you." "Okay." Lily nodded, fear filling her eyes. "Be careful, Daddy." Mark straightened and took a slow breath. His body remembered things his mind tried to forget. Years of training came rushing back. Not anger, not panic, just focus. He walked toward the group, his steps steady, his voice calm. "Hey," he said firmly. "Back away from her." The men turned, surprised. One of them laughed. "Mind your business, old man." Mark placed himself between them and the woman, his hands open, non-threatening. "It becomes my business when someone's scared." The leader stepped forward, trying to intimidate him. But Mark didn't flinch. In a split second, when one man grabbed his arm, everything changed. Mark moved with controlled precision, redirecting force, breaking holds, knocking men off balance without unnecessary harm. He didn't strike in anger. He neutralized. One by one, the men stumbled back, shocked by how quickly they lost control. Within moments, the 5 men realized they were outmatched. Cursing, they retreated into the darkness, disappearing between parked cars. Silence returned to the lot. The woman slid down against the car, breathing hard. "Thank you," she whispered, tears in her eyes. Mark nodded. "You're safe now." He turned back toward his truck. Lily ran into his arms, hugging him tightly. "You did the right thing," he told her softly. In the distance, sirens began to approach, unaware that this night was far from over. The sound of approaching sirens grew louder, echoing through the nearly empty parking lot. Red and blue lights reflected off nearby windows as Mark held Lily close, gently resting his hand on her back. Her heartbeat was fast, but she was safe. That was all that mattered to him. The woman Mark had helped stood up slowly, still shaken. "I don't even know how to thank you," she said, her voice unsteady. "They followed me from the bus stop. I thought no one would step in." Mark shook his head. "Anyone should have helped," he replied quietly. He glanced down at Lily. "Right." Lily nodded seriously. "Yes, ma'am," she said. "My daddy always helps." A police cruiser pulled into the lot, followed by another vehicle Mark didn't expect. A black military SUV with no markings except a small emblem on the door. The police officers stepped out first, assessing the situation. After a brief explanation from the woman and a quick look at the security cameras, they nodded respectfully at Mark. Before anyone could say more, the SUV door opened. A tall man in a Marine Corps general's uniform stepped out. His posture was commanding, his presence calm but powerful. He scanned the scene once, then his eyes landed on Mark. For a moment, his expression was unreadable. Then it softened into a smile of recognition. "Well, I'll be damned," the general said, walking forward. "Mark Reynolds. I'd know that stance anywhere." Mark sighed softly, almost amused. "Evening, sir." The officers exchanged confused glances. You know each other? One asked. The general let out a short laugh. Know him. This man saved lives under my command more times than I can count. Navy SEAL, retired. One of the best. Mark shifted uncomfortably. That was another life, sir. The general looked down and noticed Lily holding her father's hand. He knelt to her level, his expression gentle now. And who are you, young lady? I'm Lily, she said proudly. That's my dad. The general smiled. Your dad is a very brave man. You should be proud of him. I am, Lily said without hesitation. The woman who had been attacked listened in disbelief. She turned to Mark. You never said. It doesn't matter, Mark interrupted kindly. What matters is you're okay. The police confirmed that the men had fled and would be tracked using nearby cameras. After statements were taken, the tension slowly faded. The parking lot felt normal again, quiet, ordinary. As the general prepared to leave, he placed a hand on Mark's shoulder. The country may not see what you do anymore, he said, but tonight, you reminded me that heroes don't stop being heroes. They just change who they protect. Mark looked down at Lily, who yawned and leaned against him. I already have my mission, Mark replied. The general nodded with respect. Hand in hand, father and daughter climbed into their truck and drove home, just a single dad and his little girl, carrying a story neither of them would ever forget. Morning light filled the small house as Mark flipped pancakes in the kitchen. The smell of butter and coffee wrapped the room in a sense of calm that felt earned. Lily sat at the table coloring, her feet swinging under the chair. For Mark, routines were anchors. After the night before, he needed one. The doorbell rang. Mark paused, surprised. He wiped his hands and opened the door to find the Marine general standing on the porch, this time in civilian clothes, alongside a neatly dressed woman holding a folder. Hope we're not interrupting breakfast, the general said with a warm smile. Lily peeked around the corner. It's the nice soldier, she whispered. Mark chuckled. Come in, sir. They sat at the table while Lily proudly presented her drawing, a stick figure family with a big heart above them. The general studied it carefully. That's excellent work, he said, genuinely impressed. Once Lily returned to her coloring, the woman introduced herself as a victim's advocate. The woman you helped last night wanted you to have this, she said, sliding the folder across the table. Inside was a handwritten letter, simple, heartfelt, full of gratitude. Mark read it quietly, then nodded. I'm glad she's okay, he said. That's enough for me. The general leaned back, folding his hands. You always say that, he replied. But sometimes doing the right thing deserves recognition. Mark shook his head. I don't want medals. I don't want speeches. I just want a normal life for my daughter. The general's expression softened. That's exactly why I'm here. There's a community program for veterans. Quiet mentoring, safety education, helping kids with discipline and confidence. No spotlight, no uniforms, just presence. We could use someone like you. Mark glanced at Lily. She was listening now, pretending not to. Would there be time for school pickups? He asked. The general smiled. Always. Later that afternoon, Mark walked Lily to the park. Parents waved. A few had heard about the incident. No one treated him like a hero, just a neighbor who did the right thing. That felt right. Lily tugged his hand. Daddy. Yes, sweetheart. Are you going to help more people? Mark knelt beside her. Only if it doesn't take me away from you. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Then you can help. That evening, Mark sent a short message to the general. I'm in. On one condition, family first. The reply came quickly. Always was. As the sun set, Mark tucked Lily into bed and read her favorite story. When the light clicked off, she whispered, I'm not scared anymore. Mark stood in the doorway for a moment, listening to her steady breathing. He realized something important had shifted, not back to the past, but forward. He didn't need to be a warrior in the shadows anymore. He could be a protector in the daylight. And for the first time in years, that felt like exactly where he belonged. The next morning, Mark woke before the sun, as he always did. His body moved almost automatically, coffee brewing, sneakers laced, backpack ready. Today wasn't just any day, it was the first day he would step into the veteran mentoring program with the Marine General. Yet, even with purpose calling, His mind kept drifting back to last night, the way Lily had clung to him, the way the woman's eyes had filled with relief. He had acted instinctively, but now he realized the ripple of his actions could stretch farther than he had imagined. Lily, still sleepy-eyed, joined him at the kitchen table, rubbing her hair. "Daddy, you're leaving me again?" she asked softly. Mark smiled, pulling her onto his lap. "Not really, princess. I'll be helping kids around the city, but I'll be back before your soccer practice. I promise." She studied him, lips pressed together. "Promise, promise," he said, sealing it with a pinky swear. Lily's small hand wrapped around his, and he felt a surge of warmth, a reminder of why he fought for normalcy, why he had left the seals behind. The drive to the program was quiet. Mark glanced at the general, who was reviewing a folder of lesson plans. "You know," Mark said, "I never thought I'd be mentoring kids." The general glanced at him with a grin. "You always were a natural protector. Just your battlefield changed." They arrived at a community center buzzing with energy. Children of all ages ran around, laughing, playing basketball, and talking in groups. Mark could feel the energy in the air, restless, curious, hungry for guidance. The general clapped his hands. "Okay, everyone, gather around." Mark felt the eyes on him as he stepped forward. Kids stared at the tall man in a plain hoodie and jeans, a quiet authority emanating from him. A few whispered, asking each other who he was. "Hi," Mark began, kneeling slightly to meet their level. "I'm Mark. I used to do some dangerous work for the country, and now I'm here to help you learn a little about courage, safety, and looking out for each other. But the most important rule: always protect your friends. Always protect yourself." A boy in the front raised his hand. "Did you ever fight anyone bad?" Mark paused, considering. "Sometimes," he admitted, "but it wasn't about fighting. It was about keeping people safe. That's what matters." Hours passed in a blur. Mark taught situational awareness, confidence exercises, and teamwork. Laughter echoed off the walls. Children who had been shy and hesitant opened up, sharing stories and challenges, trusting him without hesitation. By the end of the day, Mark felt a satisfaction deeper than any medal, any recognition, any past mission had ever given him. Driving home, Lily sat in the back, coloring quietly. She looked up at him and smiled. "Daddy, you're a hero." Mark glanced in the rearview mirror, smiling softly. "I'm just someone who tries to do the right thing." And for the first time, he realized he didn't have to be a hero in secret. He could be one every day, starting at home, reaching into the community, and showing Lily exactly what courage, love, and protection truly meant. That night, Mark tucked her in, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "Tomorrow, we do it all again." Lily's sleepy voice mumbled, "Good. I want to help too." Mark closed the door and looked out the window at the city lights. Somewhere out there, the world was messy, chaotic, and dangerous, but here, in this little home, and in the hearts of the children he would guide, there was hope. And for Mark Reynolds, that was more than enough. The next week brought a rhythm Mark hadn't realized he missed, the balance between ordinary life and purpose-driven action. Mornings were for breakfast and school prep with Lily, afternoons for mentoring kids at the community program, and evenings for homework and bedtime stories. But that night, something different waited. A call came on his phone just as he was tucking Lily into bed. The Marine General's name flashed on the screen. "Evening, sir," Mark said, curious. "Mark, I hope I'm not disturbing family time," the general said. "But I have a situation you might want to see firsthand." Within an hour, Mark found himself at the local community center again. A small crowd had gathered outside a corner store, whispering urgently. Inside, a man had become aggressive toward a cashier. He hadn't threatened anyone seriously yet, but panic was starting to spread. The officers on site were cautious. Mark didn't hesitate. He signaled to the general, who nodded. Together, they entered the store. The man turned toward them, anger flashing in his eyes. Mark's SEAL instincts kicked in, but his approach was different now, calm, controlled, measured. He didn't attack, he spoke. "Hey, let's slow this down," he said evenly. "Nobody needs to get hurt." The man's rage faltered as he noticed Mark's composed demeanor. The general stood slightly behind, ready to step in if necessary. Slowly, Mark guided the man toward a chair, speaking softly, keeping his movements visible and non-threatening. Within minutes, the man was seated, breathing heavily but unharmed. The officers moved in and took over, grateful for the nonviolent resolution. Outside, the small crowd murmured with relief. Children who had been nearby looked up at Mark with wide eyes, seeing him not as a distant hero but as someone who could step in when things went wrong, yet always with control and care. Walking back to his truck, Mark felt Lily's small hand slip into his. She had insisted on coming along, her curiosity outweighing her sleepiness. "Daddy," she whispered, "you saved him without hurting him." Mark smiled down at her. "That's right. Helping someone doesn't mean fighting. Sometimes it just means staying calm and showing them the right path." She nodded seriously, as if she understood the weight behind his words. That night, back home, the general stopped by one last time before heading out of town. "Mark, you've done something incredible," he said. "Not just last week, not just tonight, but every day you show Lily, the kids at the program, and even strangers what courage and kindness look like. You're creating ripples that will last far longer than any mission I ever led." Mark shrugged modestly. "I just try to do the right thing." The general grinned. "Exactly. And that, my friend, makes all the difference." Later, as Mark tucked Lily into bed again, she whispered, "Daddy, can I be brave like you someday?" Mark kissed her forehead. "You already are, princess. Every time you help someone, stand up for a friend, or just do the right thing, you're being brave. Just like me, just like everyone who tries to make the world better." She smiled, eyes heavy with sleep. "Then I'll try." Mark left her room quietly, feeling a deep sense of peace. His life had changed forever, from a former SEAL haunted by his past to a father and mentor shaping the future. Every challenge, every act of protection, every small decision mattered. And for Mark Reynolds, that realization brought a clarity and purpose that no medal, mission, or battlefield ever could. Outside, the city lights shimmered in the distance. The world was still unpredictable, but in his home, and in the lives he touched, Mark knew he was exactly where he was meant to be.